The word yoga describes a state of consciousness, a state of oneness with the universe, the multiverse, the little critters, everything that exists within. That's the state of yoga. And that's what we're looking for. But the word yoga can also mean a practice that takes us to that state. While meditating upon nature, the stars and the various life forms, the rishis of ancient India realized that everything is always moving, even when it appears static. Furthermore, they discovered that the movement of particles and objects tends to trace the shape of an oscillation around a center point in between polar extremes. And today, modern scientists agree systems can usually be described in cyclical terms, which is great because mathematics is a perfect tool for mapping these kinds of interactions, whether we're looking at ecological systems, biological processes, cosmic patterns. Now, the human intellect has the potential to really mess up, disrupt this natural state of affairs. Our ability to stop and talk and interrupt the flow is incredible, as we know. So the practice of yoga really is about reorienting us with cyclical harmony. It's something that we easily forget when we let the intellect run our lives. Take breathing, for example. Yoga teaches us to cultivate natural rhythm. We use our muscles and our attention to smooth the transition between empty lungs and full lungs. Same with eating. Yoga would have us feel hunger gradually build like a rising tide, and then we meet that need with mindful application of food until perfect nourishment is achieved without excess. And in our yoga practice, we mimic the inherent and pleasing cycles of nature. We emphasize harmony and rhythm rather than the scattered, anxious and neurotic characteristics associated with intellect. And so in our practice, we don't talk. We don't talk out loud, and we certainly don't talk in our head. Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga in a Mysore style setting is ideal since it encourages this precise behavior. Crucially, this traditional form of yoga means we can practice without relying on the external voice of a yoga instructor. In contrast to so many other styles these days where the teacher will come and tell the students what sequence of poses they've dreamed up today, in Mysore style Ashtanga yoga, you just do your practice. It's pretty much the same every day. It becomes embedded in the mind-body complex, and after a while we don't have to think about it anymore. There's no need for sentences in the head, no need for analysis. We just do our practice in relative silence. Every time you feel tempted to stop and think to yourself during your practice, don't do it. Just keep moving. You can have a little rest here and there, but mostly just keep moving. Maintain the pulsation of the breath and body. Keep stretching, keep doing up dogs and down dogs. Keep gliding. It's not frenetic so much, it's rhythmic and smooth. There's just no dialogue. There's no analysis. And in fact, in the classical Christian style dogmatic religions, that temptation to stop and think, well, it's the devil. The devil tempts us to break away from nature, to analyze things to death and to slide into materialism. And the great betrayal that the devil commits is encouraging the delusion that it's the intellect who comes up with ideas. It's not. Ideas come in a flash. Ideas come instantly. The intellect notices ideas and it comments upon them. It chats about the ideas that come. Wow, that's a great idea. I should do that. Blah, blah, blah. And then a few minutes later, you've forgotten about the idea, the way that it came in a flash. And all you've got is this dialogue in the brain where the devil is talking about the idea. Over time, culturally, we've come to the mistaken assumption that it's the intellect who generates the ideas. And this is a big problem. While ever this ignorance is at play, while ever we have one idea followed by long stretches of dialogue, things move very slowly. And we can instead have a wonderful flowing rhythmic cascade of ideas and images naturally evolving, morphing one into the other without stopping to chat about them in our head. The very best thing that we can do to set up our lives to have a greater focus on flowing ideation is a Mysore-style Ashtanga yoga practice. In these classes, we are not dependent on the instructions given by another. We instead focus all of our intellectual attention on the practice of smooth, rhythmic movement, up dogs and down dogs, Breathe in, breathe out, jump backs, do a pose, jump backs, do a pose. There's very little activation of language and rationalization. There's a great deal of concentration on the aesthetic quality of movement and gradation. And this leads to a far greater appreciation of organic life, poetry of internal experiences, the romance of striving, the privilege of coming together as a group. We find that feeling of camaraderie and reverence amplified in our daily existence. The last point I'll make is that you can develop these qualities while you're sitting. You can do a seated meditation and focus on the concept of God or cosmos or a mantra in consciousness. And when you're sitting, you can focus on an idea or perhaps the source of all ideas. And you can practice pausing, chatter, and dialogue. You can resist the urge to go on an intellectual journey for the next half an hour about that one idea that came. You can do that while you're sitting, but you can also do it while you're moving, and that's in the Mysore style format. And there are many benefits to this approach. The first is that you get healthy. It's good for your organs and your bones, and you get fit and flexible and strong. The other benefit is that you bring the body along for the journey. It becomes part of the meditation rather than an obstacle. Mysore style Ashtanga yoga is a holistic practice. The body is completely involved. All the glands and organs are exercised. Similarly, the intellect is involved. It's given a specific and important job, and that is to focus on granular smoothness and internal aesthetics. You meditate while you're doing your sun salutes, while you're doing the primary series and the intermediate series. And then when you finish the poses, when you sit down to meditate, or any other time during the day when you want to have a moment to yourself, you'll find yourself dropping into a profound state of yoga more easily.